Today, we're going to talk about a topic, a continuation of a topic that was brought up on the last episode, and it's going to be Jersey talk. And I've brought along a guest with me who's coming along for the ride. Find out on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Yeah, let's hit it.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, I have someone on this side of my screen. Oh, I know. Welcome, everyone, to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your tour guide and pizza aficionado. Well, part-time pizza aficionado, JD Hernandez. You can see my Twitter down there. I'm the host of this podcast. And thank you for making this your first listen or first watch of the day or evening or afternoon, whichever the case may be. And to my right is how should I introduce you? The Anjay Kopitar to my Ryan Getzloff, Sarah Avampato. How you doing?
Good. Trying to do
Would,
the calculus on how that works, but we'll take it.
would you have preferred the Dustin Brown to the Ryan Getzloff since they both retired?
Actually, would be more like the Dustin Brown to your Trevor Zegras, since I'm technically retired and you're not.
That is true. Yeah, and
Anyway, hi.
Anyway, hello. So, we're going to go through a slew of topics today, but first, since you were the host of Locked On Los Angeles Kings, and you enjoy the occasional baseball, you go to the occasional baseball game, right?
Every so often.
Yeah. I last topic I talked about last time was a sad one. Vin Scully, who just passed away. I know you're not a huge baseball person, but you do know of the importance of Vin Scully and what he meant to the sporting world in general.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think even if you didn't, it was impossible not to just be on social media and see people from, no matter what sport they were into, no matter what, era they're from, everyone in the sports world had some kind of, we heard from Bob Miller, we heard from Jim Fox, he's bigger than just baseball and, even bigger than just Los Angeles, Southern California. Not being from the region, I didn't grow up hearing him, but, getting to hear people's stories about how great of a person he was and how great he was at telling stories and telling baseball was just really, really neat to see that kind of outpouring from people.
yeah, and if you don't mind if I go a little personal for a minute. So you took me to the Museum of Broadcast Communications out in Chicago, and Vince Scully has a plaque there, which to me was amazing. And you also brought up a name that I should have mentioned this on my podcast last time, and I didn't. And it's a good time that you're here. Bob Miller has a ton of stories about Vince Scully, and one of my favorite personal memories of Vince Scully was the Stadium Series game between the Kings and the Ducks. I mean, that was special for a plethora of reasons, but I'll never forget the Vince Scully intro where he ended with saying, "Welcome, boys of winter, to the place where dreams come true." I thought that was very poignant. And to have Bob Miller and the late Vince Scully come together, that was a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, I feel like, especially for people, who grew up with them as the voice of their sporting life, I feel like to have that moment, that crossover between them, had to have been just the coolest thing.
To me, gosh, I actually teared up I'll admit, I teared up a smidge when I saw both of them out together and both of them introducing what Vin called the greatest sport on ice. Vin from New York, he was a big hockey fan, by the way. This wasn't very well known, but Vin would go to the occasional hockey game. Little did you know, Vin would go to the occasional Kings game. I bet you didn't know that.
Yeah, He's a man of great taste.
I mean, a big hockey fan. And something else that I should have mentioned, but there's a really fun hockey story related to Vin Scully. I don't know if you've heard this one. You may have heard me talk about this. Vin Scully was also slightly competitive. And there's an old story about Vin Scully and Jackie Robinson ice skating together, which turned into a competition. So the story goes that Jackie Robinson said, "Yeah, I bet I could beat you on this." And Vin just asked him, I grew up in the East Coast. I'm a New York kid. I'm used to ice skating. Have you ever put on ice skates before? Now, Jackie Robinson, being a California kid, said, "Nope, I've never done it. But I can learn." We never found out who won that race, by the way. Like, we don't know. So, I mean, that in itself is a great story, and Vince will be missed. But I did like the connection between, Ducks and Kings, hockey and baseball. I thought that was a good story to just kind of put a bow on that, you know?
Like it.
Yeah. All right. So that segment is meant to be short, so I'm just going to take a brief moment to talk about Built Bar, which is everyone's favorite protein bar. And Sarah, you don't have to talk about this since, you're retired. So you'll let me talk about Built Bar, which comes in several fantastic flavors, including cherry barcia and cookie dough, cookies and cream. By the way, cookie dough now has a Built Puff flavor. Yeah, it is delicious, by the way. So if you want to try it for yourself, head over to built.com right now and use promo code LOCKED15 on your next order of Built Bar. By the way, what was your favorite flavor of Built Bar?
I mean, it was usually the cookie dough. I feel like it fluctuated, but I mean, the cookie dough one was usually pretty up there.
Oh, it was chef's kiss. Anyway, built.com, promo code LOCKED15 gets you 15% off your next order of Built Bar. Yeah. All right. So the real reason that I have you on, I know you're a bit of a jersey person. I've seen your collection. You have a lot.
I have I have a very specific approach to collecting.
Yes, you do. Do you want to share with the audience what you're very? No,
no,
Not...
it'll come up or it won't.
Okay, so but you do have more jerseys than the usual person. Yeah. In other words, you have more than 5, more than 10. You have a lot.
I mean, the usual person has 1, so
the usual person has 1. The usual hockey fan has at least 3, 4, or 5.
Okay.
And then there's us. We have a lot of jerseys, so we are going to talk about our own personal collections. There is a topic that we want to do homework on. Locked on LA Kings. Remember what that topic was back then?
I think we were talking about why the Kings jerseys were just way cooler than the Ducks.
Oh, current jerseys, yes. The current Ducks jerseys, even Ducks, like, you want me to say something horrible and something controversial. I'm not going to lean into that. But there are a number of Ducks fans that think the jerseys could be better. Thus, our topic was actually going to be about the reverse retro. Remember, we had alluded that the reverse retro is coming back this season. And wouldn't it be nice if our teams did this and that? And while there is a leak from the mayor about what the Kings is going to look like, we have no idea what the Ducks is going to look like. So I kind of did my homework and thought about what our respective reverse retro jerseys should look like this season. And this is easy for the Ducks. They need to go back to, I mean, you can see behind me, they need to go back to that. But instead of a dark base, how about an all teal base with the old striping? Because the old jerseys actually have the white one right here. So yes, I do. This was like one of my first jerseys ever. But come on, Paul Kariya era, Mighty Ducks. I mean, come on, this is a GOAT jersey. I mean, come on, you have the cool patch right here, all stitched on, and this is a classic. This is one of the quintessential classic jerseys of all time. The Ducks fans want it. This was one of them. The other one had the maroon or the eggplant color as a base, but we've never had a teal base or a jade base of this particular jersey, and that's what I think they should go for in the reverse retro this year. I mean, the Wild Wing breaking out was cool. It was an attempt. They made it. But go back to the OG. Come on, it's right there. It seems like a slam dunk, right?
I mean, it seems like the fans want it, which I think is a like the whole point of these jerseys is to make more money. Like that's the only reason they do it, is to force people like you and me to go spend way more money on a thing that like they're going to wear once every 4 years or something because they have too many jerseys as it is. So like that's all this is like, let's find another way to milk another $200 out of people. So you know, if that were my assignment, I would be like, okay, what do all of the people who want to give me $200 want to see? And like in that case, like yeah, everyone is clamoring for that old Ducks logo. My question on the teal: are you concerned it would be too sharky if you would go with the teal? Because I love the teal. I think it's a great color. But I was
No,
just like,
and I'll tell you why, because I misspoke when I said teal. It's actually a jade color. So the Sharks teal has a more blue tinge to it, whereas the classic Ducks jersey has more of a green to it. I mean, it's a different shade.
I'm
So
gonna be
that's
honest,
why
it looks like the same color to me.
it's not. I will insist it is not the same color. It's
I'm
definitely
sure
not.
it isn't, but to the layman who is looking at them, like to someone who isn't pulling out the like Pantone color scale, like you know, your average person is going to be like, isn't that the colors of another team? Like it's irrelevant really, but I was just thinking like it's just very like it, you know.
I mean, first off, you know me way too well because I would do that.
I know you would. That's why I said it.
You're
Surprised you
not
haven't
wrong.
already, just to like tell me how wrong I am about my color thoughts.
Yeah, but you're 1,000% correct on that.
Yeah.
Um, as for the Kings, now this is me chaos. I like what the Kings did last season. I actually have that one here. So the Kings won last season. I know I have it somewhere around here. Okay, so I have what I want them to do, and I have the actual. Ah, here it is. Folks, by the way, I have a ton of jerseys here. And this is the reverse retro for the Kings, the Forum blue and gold. This was their jersey last season. It's nice. It's a nice jersey.
Yeah.
Not ashamed that I spent money on this.
Yeah.
This one was great. What I actually want. You ready for this?
Do it.
I want this, but reversed. I
Ooh.
want the Burger King to come back in reverse color. You look puzzled. Why do you look puzzled here?
I'm trying to visualize it. I'm trying to use
Okay,
my theater of the mind to visualize.
so to describe those of you that are on the audio side, so I'm holding up the Burger King jersey, the infamous Burger King jersey with a white base, a gray sash, and the purple bearded king right here. Wouldn't it be kind of neat if this was reversed? Or if they did a Forum blue base? That's an option as well. But I
Mhm.
love the chaos of the Burger King jersey. So that's what I personally would go with. But that's me.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think that would be amazing. And again, people would buy it. Like people have definitely leaned back into the Burger King jersey as like a level of weird nostalgia. Like
yes.
every time I've worn that jersey to a game, I get a lot of people being like, "Awesome jersey, man!" Like, so people are into it. I also have a hat that matches it, which gets a lot of comments too.
Yes, you
Um,
do.
but like, yeah, I like you know for the same reason as to like the Ducks, you know, should lean back into the whimsy essentially of the old school logo with with the duck cartoon. You know, why not lean back into this one for anyone who hasn't seen the proposed leak slash whatever for the Kings? It's basically last year's, only the colors are inverted. So it's a white jersey with the like purple, forum blue, yellow, gold, whatever accents. And I personally don't like white jerseys. I would never buy one. No, I wouldn't say never because I do own white jerseys, but I would not. I'm much less likely to buy this one.
So am I. I think it was too easy of a way out for the
Yeah,
Kings.
yeah.
Personally, I don't know if I'd go with that. I mean, if it was you, if you were the designer, what would you do for Kings Reverse Retro?
Um, I mean, so there were the time like a handful of years ago where they brought back the gold jerseys with the like kind of the crown logo
Oh, the
on
old
it.
school crown?
Yeah. I
Okay.
feel like I'd lean on that for my like, maybe change something up with like the stripe, like do something to make it new and different. But I feel like between this reverse retro and them kind of bringing and the previous reverse retro and them kind of bringing the chevron back in general, especially when they had like the chrome helmets, I'm like, okay, it's a good jersey, like I like it, but you have a wealth of other,
White
past.
jerseys.
Right. Well, I mean, just I'm just even like the logo in general of, the chevron, the kings, I'm like, let's draw from something else. Like you have a lot of different options of different kind of crown motifs you've used over the years, and or the Burger King.
I like your reasoning better for bringing back the old crown jersey. Like your reasoning is perfect. There's a lot of white jerseys already. You have the white chevron logo, the throwback one. You had the shiny throwback one, which is the same thing, just shinier.
Mm-hmm.
And you're bringing another white jersey with another chevron logo. So a different base would eliminate that, and bring back the crown logo would be like, hey, we're bringing back the crown logo. What's not to
Mm-hmm.
love about that? I mean, even the reverse retro. I think the reverse retro, yeah, the reverse retro had the old crown on it instead of the new current crown.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
for
it's like, the King's 1967. I double checked just to make sure I wasn't crazy. Like, yeah, this is like 55. Like you can go back to the first jersey if you want to reverse retro it. Go the whole way back and use that as something.
I mean, I'm gonna bust out another reverse retro here while we're on the topic, but there was a team that went further back, like pre-roots. This is one of my favorite jerseys that I own. It's Pucky. It's
Mm-hmm.
the Carolina. Like Carolina could have gone back to an older version of their jersey. No, they went pre-Carolina Hurricanes. They went Hartford Whalers. They went Pucky, but they went gray. This was one of my favorite reverse retros of the whole time. And come on, how can you not love Pucky the Whale as your logo? How cool was it just having a whale patch right there? It
I
seemed
would I
too
would
easy.
buy the whale patch like separately. Like
Just the
someone
patch?
sell me the whale patch. I'm sure it exists.
I
But
think it
like
does exist. I mean, it's
like I
so
would
friendly.
totally like iron Pucky onto a bag or something.
I mean, you already own something Pucky. You have a Whalers sweater, I believe.
Yes. Hoodie, yeah.
A hoodie, which also
Yeah.
looks really cool, by the way. I mean, all hail Pucky.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, I like that is one of my favorites that came out. But also the Hurricanes, if you look like the Hurricanes don't have a rich jersey history to draw from. Like all of their jerseys kind of look the same. So,
Yep.
it's almost kind of taking the easy way out to be like, we're just going to use a whole other team entirely. But I feel like a lot of the teams that had like, we had the Avalanche Nordiques one. We saw a lot of that of teams kind of harkening back to previous entities, but there's not a lot for the Hurricanes to go and say, let's like their first jersey doesn't look that much different from their jersey today.
No, and there's another jersey that I have here somewhere, which I'm gonna pull out. So there's a certain team that should go back even further to a previous team. I want to see this happen. I want to see this jersey. We're going like beyond Ducks and Kings talk. I want to see this one brought back. The Atlanta Thrashers.
Mm-hmm.
Bring this the heck back. The Atlanta Thrashers dark jersey with the cool winged things and the weird arrows on the collar. I mean, this is a legit jersey, but bring this back in. Ready for this? Bring this back in current Winnipeg Jets colors.
Ooh.
I would buy the heck out of that. Take my
Also,
money
I
now.
don't know that I ever realized the sleeves do the like that.
Oh, the
I don't know that I
wings?
ever, yeah, I don't know that I ever noticed that before.
Oh, that's one of my favorite details about this jersey is the wings on the sleeve. That's a totally unique jersey in its of itself. And like the whole jersey is amazing. But
And
in
plays
Winnipeg,
well with the Jets.
yes, it does play well with the Jets.
Yeah.
I could kind of see it. I could see where they drew inspiration from. So bring this back in Winnipeg Jets colors, and it would be very easy to separate me and my money for even though I have enough jerseys as it is. As those of you on the video side, yes, I'm kind of showing off my collection, but kind of going through this whole discussion of what the reverse retros should be for next season. So it's kind of devolved from that. All right, so next topic that I do want to talk about is the jerseys are no longer going to be Adidas in 2 seasons. There was an article that came out about a week ago saying that Adidas was going to last for 2 more seasons and it was going to be no more. We don't know which company is going to take over, and I know there's some jersey heads that are afraid that it's going to wind up being Fanatics or something like that because you and I have seen the quality of Fanatics jerseys. There, how can I put this mild? Yeah, you said it right there. Thumbs down. They ain't that good. They're not.
Yeah. They're bad.
Yeah. Although, how cool would it be if Nike stepped in there, or maybe even CCM comes back? They could come
CCM still
back.
exists as a company? They still exist as an entity? Did they get bought by someone?
No, CCM exists, and I'll tell you why. Because I do have a current CCM jersey, and you're probably wondering what the heck do you have that's current? AHL.
Oh, that's right.
AHL still
Yeah.
uses CCM.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yep. And what? By the way, one of my favorite minor league jerseys of all time is the Tucson Roadrunners. Not the regular one, the Tucson Roadrunners Kachina jersey. And that is a CCM jersey. They are the current suppliers for American Hockey League. And frankly, I like the AHL jerseys, like the composition of them, a little bit better than the current Adidas jerseys. Not to say I don't like the Adidas jerseys. I think they're fantastic. The made in Canada ones are definitely better than the replicas. The authentics that they have, they're still good. But I mean, this is just a classic AHL jersey in it of itself. But talk a little bit about just like the manufacturer in general. Like you have Reebok jerseys, you have Adidas jerseys. How do you compare the current jerseys to like some of them in the past? First off,
I mean, so like first off, I wouldn't have nearly as many annoyed feelings about Fanatics if they didn't cost so stupid much. Like if I knew that I was paying like even $50 for a Fanatics jersey and the quality that you get there, I don't think I'd care because you're paying $50, you know? But you're still paying like you probably know better than I do what a off the rack Fanatics jersey costs. Like
it's like 110, 100.
right.
Like they're not
And,
cheap.
yeah, and then I feel like that's usually just sort of like the base, and then once if you want to like personalize it, if you want to get a player name on it, then like it goes up from there. So I'm like, that's a lot of money for something that just feels flimsy.
Mm-hmm.
The I feel like I knew obviously being a hockey person, you know that the players are wearing things vastly different than like you can buy, but I feel like it didn't really like sink in with me until I got a couple of jerseys that were like designed for like that were player quality or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, this is like you're like, oh, this is why this jersey cost me a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, you
because
you have a couple of really good ones, by the way.
yeah, yeah, like, and you're like, okay, that, I mean, also they're usually like charity auctions or whatever. Like one of the ones that I got from, it's a Kings jersey from when they did one of the Pride Nights a couple years ago. And so, yeah, I mean, that's like an actual real game quality. They don't play in it, which I still think is stupid. I think you should wear the jersey for the actual game like they do in the AHL, but that's a whole other podcast probably. But like the quality is just so much better. And I feel like, yeah, Fanatics is just, it's like, it's the fast fashion. That's a very niche thing for
Oh,
like probably 70% of your listeners to know what I'm talking about. But like, it's the fast fashion of sports jerseys of this is churned out very cheaply, very quickly. And we just want to get it in the hands of consumers. And it's basically kind of essentially made to be disposable because eventually it's going to start falling apart and you're just going to pitch it.
you described that so perfectly. I wouldn't think to use the term fast fashion here, but that's perfect. That's exactly what those Fanatics jerseys are. And some of them are meant to be fashion jerseys with like weird off colors and something that frankly a minority of hockey fans would wear. Let's be honest here. That's what most of those are. So that's why there's a little bit of fear. Oh, Fanatics, they could be it, which I'm hoping not. Once again, special thanks to Sarah Avampato for joining the podcast. We are not done talking about jerseys, by the way. Next time, Sarah will be on and we'll talk about details, including the differences in certain types of jerseys. And we're going to talk more about our personal collection. So that'll be next week. We actually ended up talking for about an hour. So tune in for the continuation of that conversation. It's a pretty fun one, especially if you're a jersey head. With that being said, thank you very much for your continued support, and thanks for watching and listening Locked On Anaheim Ducks. A reminder, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now YouTube. If you want to reach out on me or reach out to me at Twitter, you could do so at StimpyJD, or you could follow the show's Twitter at LO_Ducks. And if you want to drop me a line, you could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And once again, thank you all for your continued support. It is greatly appreciated. And if you're a Jersey head, tell all your friends to check out this podcast. It's more of a YouTube podcast. So on the audio side, you're not going to get as much out of it. But on the YouTube side, you probably get a little bit more out of it. So tell your friends we have Jersey Talk for this episode and next week as well. So once again, thank you all for your support. It is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason JD Hernandez saying have a great weekend, folks. Please continue to be safe out there, be kind to one another, and Ducks fly together.